At the beginning of December in 2019, I uploaded a YouTube video which shared the notebooks I intended to use in 2020. It's now the middle of May, almost 6 months later, and I thought it would be a good time to do an updated version. I'll show what worked, what didn't, how the pandemic affected some of my notebook intentions, and which ones I've completed. These are all the notebooks I've used over the past 6 months, as well as this one here, another Leuchtturm one, which I'm using as a guide for this video. I thought it'd be interesting to dive into them and to see how they have helped me with my writing. So I will start with my journal. And this blue Lemome lined journal was blank at the beginning of 2020. This has been a fabulous journal. I love the hardback of it. I love the paper quality, which is 120 GSM, and I love the fact that it lay flat. I've used it as a way of working through some of the different creative issues that were going on in my head. I've used them to plan out essays and newsletters and all sorts of mental obstacles that I have to overcome. And you can see more about this journal because I've actually done a flip through of this entire journal. I will link in the description box below. So when this journal was full, I then moved on to this pink one. And this one is by Perfectly Penned. Again, it has a hardback and also has that 120 GSM paper that I just love so much for my journaling. So during the past few months, I've written a lot in this journal. I'm probably just over 1/3 of the way through. Some of the stuff, or a lot of the stuff, is going to be completely unusable, but a lot of it was for me to empty my head so I could move on and move forward with my writing and my creativity. I'm a firm believer that you have to take all these thoughts out of your head in order to allow your creativity to breathe, and that is what is so special about journaling. So I'll just show you a few pages that I have filled in so far. Like with the Lemome journal, I've put a little postcard at the front. This one was winter for obvious reasons, and this one is what to look for in spring, and this is by Ladybird Books. And here I've just written some ideas down for a YouTube script, because this is the notebook that I carry around with me everywhere. So if I don't have my normal YouTube notebook with me, which is this one, then I would just use the journal that I've got at the time. This is an essay idea. I don't think that went anywhere, and that is part of the beauty of having notebooks in order to write down things. Sometimes you don't know if it's going to become something meaty enough to become an essay, or it might be something smaller, like the tiny essays that I do in my newsletter, or it might even become a blog post, or it might just not be anything at all. But in order to move on, you need to remove that from your head, put it down on the page, and then you can move forward. I've done more doodling in this notebook than I did in my previous one. I just needed the chance to allow my mind to be still, and I wrote a newsletter about this just last weekend, all about isolating ourselves from social media and traditional media during this time with the pandemic. Sometimes it's just too much. When I was in my teens, there wasn't this rolling news. They're providing news on a 24-hour cycle, and they need to fill it. And there is so much noise, and we didn't used to have that. I found that just by doodling these rectangle shapes, which are, well, I hope they're obviously books on a bookshelf, but I particularly like doing rectangles because I find them very satisfying to colour in. So that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to quieten the noise from the media and the social media, switch myself off from it, and just to do some very calm colouring. And this is, are we isolated enough for our creativity to thrive, which is what the newsletter was all about that I just mentioned. And then I've not filled this one in, these doodles in, with any writing yet, but this is basically how I felt our weekend was. We discovered a new walk and we walked past a farm, 5-bar gate. There were chickens and there were horses. I can't draw horses. So I'm just basically summarising how I felt about that day because it was just so lovely. And the sun was out, it was very warm, and the dogs absolutely loved it. And then here, again, I did this yesterday, which was a Monday, and again, I just needed to calm the mind. So I did a few rectangles to colour in, aka bookshelves, and I will probably do them a lot throughout the course of this journal. I don't know if that says anything about me, the fact that I like to colour in rectangles, but that's the way I am. And that is how far I've got so far in this notebook. I'm really enjoying this notebook. It's got a lovely hardback, lovely paper, and lies very flat as well, as you can see. So they are my journals. And that is the book that I carry around with me everywhere. If I'm going to bed at night, that will come with me. If I'm going out on a car journey, not that I've done many of them lately, but that would come with me. School run, same thing. And then next we have another Lemome, and this is my planning journal for all my creative and writing work. And this was started in the video that I did at the end of last year. By the way, if you can hear anything, it's my dog. She's snoring and she's also trying to run in her sleep. So she's making little noises. If you hear that, it's just the dog, it's not me. And I'm just going to insert a little clip here of what I'm looking at as I film. So here is my planning notebook that I'm just about to talk about. And I have my 2 dogs there. So any noises in the background, you can blame on them. Now back to the video. So this planning notebook was just started at the beginning of this year. And it's very much towards the end now. I've just got a few blank pages to go and most of it has all been filled in. There you go, more rectangles, you see. It's a love affair with me and rectangles, and I just find them very satisfying to fill in. So this was January, right at the beginning of the notebook, and this was how I traditionally laid out what I was going to do during the month to come. And then February looked like this. I started to put in this grid system, and I really enjoy this grid system. I haven't done it for May, but I will be doing it for June because I think it just makes sense to have at a glance everything that you're going to be putting out. So my YouTube videos, for example, go out every Wednesday, which is this column here, and it's just so helpful to be able to see when your self-imposed deadlines are, and when you would like to get your essay out, and when you would like to send your newsletters out, and then you can see if you've got too much going on in one particular area or number of days. So that's how I did February, and then that's how I did March as well. And the different colours on here represented the different projects that I've got going on. But then April didn't go too well. I was a little bit distracted by everything that was going on in the world, and my planning went a little bit to pot, and I didn't do as much work in April that I would have liked to have done. Well, there we go, that's April. It looked a lot like that. And then towards the end of April, I kind of pulled it together a little bit. So in May, I decided to get a little bit more organised and to really focus back on my work again, and this is how it looked like. These are the post-its that have come off my task sheet which live on my wall, and then when I've completed them I will transfer them to the done section of my task sheet. And then I've done, this is week 2 of May, which went particularly well. And then I divided it up into days. So you've got the week ahead, what I'd like to achieve, and then what I'd like to achieve on each day. And then here we are on the current week, May week 3. Monday went quite well yesterday. And here we are Tuesday, where it says to record YouTube video at 11:15 a.m. and it is in fact 11:40 a.m. and I am sticking to my plan. I do have a new planning notebook for when this one has been finished, which won't be too much longer. And this new one is going to be the gridded version, so I can draw lots of rectangles in and colour them in to my heart's content in this little planning notebook. So that's how the planning journal has gone this month, or in the past 6 months I should say. Then we have this Rhodia goal book. In the video that I uploaded back in December, this was completely blank and I wasn't too sure what I was going to use it for. And then I've done subsequent videos on how I am using it, and I'm using it as a kind of bullet journal, writing tracker and logbook. It started off really well, and again March and April and the beginning of May, in fact, I don't really know what happened. I think I just forgot about it. I just didn't have that motivation to fill it in. I think I just lost a lot of my drive, and if you didn't know as well, I was a little bit unwell during that time, which was also quite distressing. So all these things unsettled me a little bit, and this notebook was probably the one that I used the least. I do love it though. It's got a very nice orange inside with the blue on the outside. So this is the first page where I started off doing my daily word count for just my fiction, and because I've decided not to make my fiction a priority for a couple of months, because I wanted to focus on my non-fiction stuff and really get my proposal written and sent out, and to concentrate on my essays so I could do a self-published book of those, and on the whole mentoring thing and another ebook as well. So the fiction I deliberately put to one side. In these 2 columns I'm writing my word counts. Then in March and April you can see it's pretty much blank, and then in May I've just started writing in there again, and I wrote 2,501 words on Friday, which was for my essay. And I also have here, again, little rectangles to colour in when I have worked on a project on that particular day, so I can see where I'm spending most of my time. So Monday, yesterday, I spent a lot of my time writing the script for this video, and today I'm also recording this video, so I'm also going to fill in under today's day, not as neatly as my normal colouring. That means I've worked on my video on this day as well, and where I've been spending most of my time. When I do this same thing for June, I'm going to add in another column for my kind of my paid products, I suppose that's the best way of describing it. And because you have a lot of writing involved in that, I do spend a lot of my time, like this morning before I started recording this video, I was working for quite a few hours on one of my paid products, and I'm doing all the website copy for that, and I would like to see that reflected in this journal, just to track where I'm spending my time, and when I look back I can see, yes, I have done some work, because sometimes it's very easy to forget that you've done so much and how far you've come as well. So that's my Rhodia Gold book, and I do plan to use that a lot more on a daily basis, in fact, and then to look back more at how far I've come. Then we have a Stamford Notebook, which is an English firm not very far away from me, and they make these, or they handcraft these beautiful cloth notebooks. I just adore this. I love the colour of this. It's just lovely. Originally, I thought this was going to be a kind of evening pages journal that I kept by the side of my bed. But as I started using it, I started writing down my dreams and my ambitions for my writing business. So that's what this became, and that's what I'm now using it as. And this page in particular, I do like my doodling. Sometimes it helps just having things as an image rather than lots and lots of words. And this was at the beginning of the year when I was thinking about everything that I would like to do as a kind of overview of all of my writing dreams and ambitions as a business. And that's why I've got it as a business here, and to see it as a business and to see where it can take me. So that's what this notebook is for. I have another yellow notebook here, and this one was gifted to me by Collins Notebooks because I did a sponsored Instagram post with them a couple of weeks ago. But you see the rainbow effect there. But I am using this one as morning pages, and instead of worrying about putting things in my pink journal here that don't really make sense, or just repeatedly writing, what shall I write here, what shall I write here, I have given myself a journal, a notebook, so that I can just write just rubbish in it, because sometimes you need that in order to start the day. Instead of being sucked into the whole news and media, I empty my head. I don't pressure myself to write pages and pages. Sometimes I've only written a paragraph, but I did it this morning. I felt a little bit of a tightness in my chest, a little bit of anxiety about my work, because I am going to be launching something brand new at the weekend through my newsletter. I was just thinking, nothing's going to happen with it. It's all just going to be a waste of time and energy. Nobody's going to be interested. So I wrote all those thoughts down in here, and I left them in there, and I felt a lot better for it. It's a soft cover notebook, and you can see I'm not going to show you on the inside because it can be quite embarrassing, some of the things that I write in there. This is probably what's called my mental health journal, getting rid of all the rubbish and putting it into there. And this one I didn't actually mention in my 2020 lineup. I didn't know I was going to be working with Colin, so I didn't actually have the notebook in my possession. Also, I didn't realise that I needed this kind of space just to write whatever was going on in my head. And sometimes I've written things in here and I thought, oh, that could be useful and something to explore later on. But most of the time, it's just stuff to get rid of. So yes, I'm very pleased with that journal. And then finally, I have my Leuchtturms. I've got this orange one that I'm using now for my script, because this is my YouTube Leuchtturm. And I've got this light blue one that I'm using for my essays. And this one is, I've only just started it because I had the darker blue one for my essays before. So I've started this light blue one, and the orange one, this is how I put together a YouTube video. I basically write a script like I've done for today, and then I pretty much ignore it. So that was all of yesterday. I was writing this script. I probably looked at it 3 times during the course of creating this video. But this is how I put my YouTube videos together. Just write lots of ideas down. The ones where I'm doing the voiceover are the scripts that I will follow to the letter. The one last week, my Instagram routine as a writer, I don't think I called it that in the end, but that is the script that I take upstairs to my bedroom with me, and then I put my laptop and my script underneath the duvet and I record it from underneath there. That has the best sound. My office is very echoey. So yeah, that's how I put all my YouTube videos together, by writing these scripts down in here. And this is why I love the Leuchtturm so much, because it's just so easy to write in. I do a lot of writing in these Leuchtturms, and I prefer this size to an A4 size, and I know you can get A4 notebooks with the spiral bound on them, but I just cannot get on with the spiral bound. And I know the Leuchtturms also are not cheap, but I love them. They just make me want to write, so they're worth that extra few pounds from my point of view. I've bought myself a new Leuchtturm to replace my orange YouTube one. And this one is completely blank. So I've got no lines in this one. But do you know what? The colour on the front more than makes up for it. I think that's a beautiful colour. Very me, this colour. And yeah, I'll see how I get on with it in terms of writing. So that's all of the notebooks that I've been using over the past 6 months, and an update on all the ones that I mentioned in my 2020 video. They are a great tool for me in terms of my writing and my writing business, and to keep track of my writing, and essentially just to capture as many thoughts as I can. These are my little friendly writing companions, and I really couldn't be without them. And I know some people will be saying, why do you need so many notebooks? But I just like to compartmentalise certain aspects of my writing and my business. I don't want to put, for example, my planning in my journal, and I don't want to put my tracking in my planner, because I just want my planner to tell me what I'm going to do that day. That's the way that works for me. I just love a notebook. They give me a lot of joy. Please do click on that subscribe button and on the thumbs up button. It really does genuinely help me in terms of YouTube and getting me seen in the algorithm. I would appreciate that very much. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next week for another video. Bye for now. Bye.